And sisters in Islam, we welcome you for today's session of Fiqh and Usul al-Fiqh and Islamic Islamic session. Our program will start at 9 today, which is now, the Islamic Worldview, Tasawur al-Islami by Assistant Professor Dr. Abdul Latif bin Abdul Razak. From IIUM, Islamic Revealed Knowledge, Kuliah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge. Thank you very much, Dr. Abdul Latif.
Welcome, Akhiyah.
I will pass over to Dr. Abdul Latif now, so that he can start the lecture.
Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. Thank you very much, Datuk. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Alhamdulillah. How about the voice? Is it okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, good. Alhamdulillah. Okay, we are at week 4 already. Out of 6. So we have 2 more weeks to go, inshallah. Today, let me share with you the slides. You can get the slide. I've already posted to the organizer. Okay, hoping that you can see my slide. Okay, let me see how to make it. What do you call this? Okay. Okay. The Islamic Worldview, week 4, the 4 major constituents of the Islamic worldview. So this is the 4 major components in our Islamic worldview. There are 4. Number 1 is God. Number 2 is man. God here, of course, we have no other God except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And la ilaha illallah. And then the concept of insan, the concept of dunya, and the concept of the hereafter, which is akhirah. So these are the 4 major importance knowledge that we need to instill in our worldview. They are the basic components. Okay, today because the time I put it to God and man. Actually, it requires long discussion, but just to open the door, so we are going to talk about God and man. God and man today. So when we talk about God in Islam, it comes to the concept of Tawheed, the concept of Tawheed, the oneness of God. Okay. Literally, Tawheed means unification, making something one or asserting oneness. It comes from the Arabic verb wahada, which itself means to unite, unify, or consolidate. However, when the term Tawheed is used in reference to Allah, it means the realizing and maintaining of Allah's unity in all of man's action, which directly or indirectly relates to Him. I mean that whatever we do, it must be directed only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one. We must always keep saying this in our, because the problem today happened to us because we forget our function. We must remember that this is very, very important statement. We are created by Allah and for Allah. We are created by Allah and for Allah. Okay. Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mati lillahi rabbil alamin. Everything we do, it is for Allah. This is being reminded daily. Daily, how many times? 5 times per day. That we recite in Salat 5 times daily to remind us this. Our purpose of creation is worship only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, what is the purpose of the hand? To grab. If the hand cannot grab, then the hand problem. What is the function of the eye? To see. If the eye cannot see, then the eye has problem. What is the function of the to hear? If the ear cannot hear, the ear has problem. What is the function of man? Serve God. But if the man cannot serve God, the man has problem. Even though the body looks very healthy, but actually the heart is sick. We are having problem because we do not function in accordance to what we are created for. Okay. It is the belief that Allah is one without partner, His dominion and His action. This is Tawheed, we call Tawheed Rububiyyah. This is about He is the creator. One will similitude His assets and attributes. This is Tawheed we call Asma wa Sifat. And one without rival in His divinity and in worship. This is what we call Tawheed Ibadah or Tawheed Uluhiyyah. Tawheed Uluhiyyah. If you see the translation, this Rububiyyah means lordship. We translate into English as lordship. From the word Rob. From the word Rob. That is Lord. Rob, Lord. Lordship. Rububiyyah. Asma, names, mean attributes. Translate into English. But when it comes to Uluhiyyah, Tawheed Uluhiyyah, we translate into worship. So why somehow the translation is not coherent? Like because the Rububiyyah from Rob, Asma, name, Sifat, attributes. But when it comes to Uluhiyyah, Tawheed Uluhiyyah, we translate into worship. So the answer is, what and ilah because of the worship. Meaning that even you say that Allah is my God, but when it comes to worship, you worship someone else, meaning that that's not really ilah, meaning that that's complete. The Tawheed is not complete. Meaning that when you accept Him as a God, you must also worship Him. There is no God except Allah. There is no God except Allah. You see the expression. The expression is, Allah means if the expression like this. Allah is God. Allah is God. And some people say that, yes, it is a God. So people might say that, but that's why our Shahada, it denies first. La ilaha. La ilaha. No, there's no God. Illallah, except Allah. That's why the expression comes in that way. To deny all any other God. La ilaha illallah. So you can example another expression. Okay. Our purpose of creation is to worship Allah. Our purpose of creation is to worship Allah. To do ibadah. People may say there are there are sometimes you do things not related to Allah, but expression comes. Wama khalaqtul jinna wal ins. We don't create you. Wama khalaqtul jinna. We don't create jinn wal ins and men. Wama khalaqtul jinna wal ins illa. See, deny us any other purpose. We don't create you for any other purpose. Illa liya'budun. Meaning that whatever you do, meaning that at the end, the ultimate purpose is to do ibadah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It becomes the umbrella. Whatever you do, it must come under the umbrella of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You want to become rich under the umbrella of mardatillah. Whatever you do, it must come under this umbrella. Okay. Okay. This category is based on the fundamental concept that Allah alone caused all things to exist. When there were nothing, He sustained and maintains creation without any need from it or for it. Allahus Samad. Allahus Samad. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil. And He is the sole Lord of the universe and is in Him. Everything depends on Him. Everything depends on Him. It is the belief that there is only one God who is the creator of everything in the heavens and on the earth. God is the most powerful. These days, they think that our galaxy is before this is the only, but now they find a lot of new galaxies, bigger and bigger, bigger and bigger. And the sun previously is a bigger star for us, but now the sun become very small because they find another, what they call this, stars that much bigger till the sun become very little. And all this under the management of one God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The belief that this creator is the sustainer, Razak, manager of the affairs of the whole universe. He is the only one who gives life and takes it away. He is all-knowing. He is merciful and does what He wishes because He is the creator of everything. Everyone is dependent on heaven or the earth. Allahu khaliq kulli shay wa huwa ala kulli shay'in wakil. Allah created all things and He is the agent on which all things depend. Az-Zumar, verse 62. Wallahu khalaqakum wa ma ta'malun. And Allah created you all and whatever you do. Okay, this is the first Tawheed Rububiyyah, unity of worship, Tawheed Uluhiyyah, unity of worship. It is the belief in the unity of Allah worship. He is the one who deserves to be worshipped. Tawheed Uluhiyyah. He is the one who sets the way how we worship Him, and we should follow His instruction and Sharia as He ordered and instructed us to do. Meaning that any actions to be accepted by Allah must fulfill two conditions. Number one, the right niyyah, that is for Allah. Salat for Allah. Sadaqah for Allah. Hajj for Allah. Number one. And niyyah alone does not what they call this guarantee the acceptance. It must come with the second condition, which is the right method or the right ways, meaning that we must do according to what is being shown by our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, there's two conditions for any amal to be accepted. Number one, the right intention, and number two, the right method or the right ways. All form of worship must be directed only to Allah because He alone deserves worship, and it is He alone who can grant benefits to man as a result of His worship. Furthermore, there is no need for any form of intercessors or intermediary between man and God. Direct, we can pray to Allah direct. Allah emphasized the importance of directing worship to Him alone by pointing out that this was the main purpose of man creation and the essence of the message brought by all the Prophet. Allah says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I created the jinn and humankind only that they might worship me. Verily, we have sent to every nation a messenger, say, worship Allah and avoiding falsehood. Ya'budullah wajtanibut taghut, and do not worship beside Allah that which cannot help or harm you. Okay. My dear brothers and sisters, now comes to the Tawheed of al-Asma wa Sifat. It is the belief that God has attributes and names, and one should worship Him and do supplication dua to Him using His names and attributes. No one has the right to tell us about His name and attributes except His messengers who came to teach people the names and attributes through using the revelation which God sent to them. We cannot imagine a God and give Him names and attributes. La kaif. La kaif means no howness. No howness. La bila kaif. We cannot imagine a God and give Him names and attributes, such as the way of Arab before Islam made idols and give them names and attributes and worship them. This is not correct, because only Allah can tell us about His name and attributes. Allah must be referred to according to how He described Himself or how His prophet have described Him. Meaning that the source to know about Allah is the Quran and also the words of the prophet. Laisa kamislihi shay wa huwa as-sami'ul basir. Laisa kamislihi shay wa huwa as-sami'ul basir. There is nothing like Him, and He is hearer and seer of all. Every Muslim should believe in the unity of Lordship, worship, the names and attributes, and if one denies one of them, meaning that, if there is, now we say three Tawheed, what they call this, Tawheed Rububiyyah, Tawheed Uluhiyyah, and Asma wa Sifat, three Tawheeds. But if you reject one, 3 minus 1, it does not become 2. It becomes 0, meaning that everything will be void, null and void. Every Muslim should believe in the unity of Lordship, worship, and names of attributes. And if one denies one of them, even one of them, or all understood, he is considered as the unbeliever, yani kafir, out of Islam, out of Islam. And then, so related to God also, Tawheed is the opposite, is Shirik. In order to know Tawheed better, it is good that we know also about Shirik. Like, if you want to know about black, it is good to know about white. If you want to know about darkness, you also needs better to know also about lights, for example. So it helps. It helps. So the opposite of Tawheed is Shirik. The study of Tawheed cannot be considered complete without a careful analysis of its opposite, that is Shirik. Shirik literally means partnership, shared, or associating, but Islamically it refers to the act of assigning partners to Allah in whatever form it may take. Means Allah has partners. Some modern Muslim scholars interpret the concept of shirk to include all forms, kinds of worshipping others with God, such as worshipping the material aspect of life and fearing people more than God and associating themselves in any act of shaitan. In the Quran, Allah said, "Afara'aita man ittakhadha ilahahu hawa." Have you seen many people who takes other than gods to be their God? Take their nafs, their desire to be their God. Afara'aita man ittakhadha ilahahu hawa. Meaning that they takes their desire to be their God. Meaning that my life is for my desire. Supposed to be my life is for Allah, but they follow all their desire, all the instruction, the command of their desire. So now, at this moment, the desire become their God. Some people, their profession become their God. Money, wealth, materials become their gods. So this is also considered as shirik. Okay, that's about Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Actually, it is very concise. As I said, this might open the door for you to know about Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. It is very important because He is our purpose of creation. The more you know Him, the better person you will become. The more the happier you will become. Because that is the source of what they call is our happiness. The source of our happiness. Allahumma antas salam wa minkas salam wa ilaika ya'udus salam. Meaning that if we are away from as-salam, then we are going to destruction. The more we go away from Allah, the more we are going to have a problem. The problem. Okay. So now we comes to the concept of a man in the Quran and Sunnah. Who is man? When we talk about man, don't look at something outside. It is about ourselves. We are talking about ourselves. Okay. Can we know about man from senses? Yes, can. Can we know man from akal? Yes, can. But the most correct knowledge about man is the one that comes from Al-Quran, because it is from the creator of man himself, the creator of man himself. Yes, we can use our senses, we can use our akal, but it must be in line with what is being mentioned by Al-Quran and Hadith. Okay. Man in Islam is a multi-dimensional creature, stands between the material and spiritual worlds. The body is material and the ruh is spiritual, and partakes the nature of both body and soul. Body and soul. We are neither body nor soul. We are insan. Insan means the mix between jasad and ruh. Because jasad without ruh is not insan. Jasad without ruh is not insan. We call mayat. Dead already. So it is not insan. Don't call the mayyit insan. When he is dead, he is no longer insan. He is mayyit, means no ruh. No ruh. The ruh without body is not insan. The ruh without body is not insan. We call what? Some people call ghost. No, it is not ghost. Ghost is jinn. Jinn is from fire. Angel from the lights. The ruh, later we will inform what are the ruh made from. So when there is no body, when there is no body, Without body, the ruh is called ruh. The ruh is called ruh. It is not in insan. Insan is what? The unity between body and soul. Body and soul. So it creates a new creation. New creation. God has originated him from clay, the material, so the animal's wool is reflected. So, you know, so the nubs, especially the nubs part, it is because of the lower elements in ourselves, which is the soil, the clay. Due to this bodily dimension, man needs resources of the material world for his personal growth and social fulfillment. We need food, and our food all come, because we are from the soil. Because we are from the soil, then the maintenance also should come from the soil. So let's say, for example, we eat meat. Meat come from the cow. Cow eat the grass. The grass come from, at the end, it goes back to the soil. So meaning that whatever maintenance it goes back to our nature. It goes back to our nature, because that is our material, the bodily material. The second crucial dimension that the Quran deals with mankind is man as a moral creature. In this regard, the Quran employs terms such as khilafah, vicegerency, taqwa, piety, iman, believing, Islam, total submissions to God, or their opposite terms such as fujur, immorality, kufur, disbelieving, nifaq, hypocrite. This is what they call this the ruh, with regard to the ruh, to the ruh. When we talk about the ruh, we talk about the heart, we talk about the akal, we talk about the what they call this the qalb. So this, when we talk about this, the value of this, we talk about khilafah, about taqwa. At-taqwa hahuna, the Prophet said, referring to the heart. About iman, also in the heart. About Islam, total submission, shahadah, the opposite, and fujur, kufur, all related to the spiritual element. Inna fil jasad mudghah, iza salahat salahal jasad kullu, iza fasada jasad kullu, ala wahiyya al-qalbu, ala wahiyya al-qalbu. So it refers to when it is good, the body, in the body there are what I call this a flesh. If it is good, the whole body will be good. If it is bad, spoiled, the whole body will be spoiled. Ala wahiyya al-qalbu. That is the heart. The heart here does not refer to the jantung, to the physical one. The heart here refers to the spiritual heart, the seat of knowledge and the seat of intention. The seat of intention. The physical one refers to the jantung. We have here in Malaysia, in your country, we have National Heart Institute. That's also heart, that refers to the physical. But here we are talking about the spiritual part, which is the seat of intention, what I call the seat of knowledge, the seat of taqwa, S-E-A-T, seat, S-E-A-T, seat, the place, the abode, the home, okay. Creation of man, that is a sense, okay, still is this side. Okay, that. Creation of man. Man is God creature, just like other created beings. Man is God creature, just like other created beings. He has been created in the best conceivable pattern. Laqad khalaqnal insan fi ahsani taqwim. The best pattern God creates the body, especially the physical part. Is the best form. Laqad khalaqnal insana fi ahsani taqwim. Summa radadnahu asfala safilin. Then they become back to low. Because of what? Because of the sins that they have made. Summa radadnahu asfala safilin. Allah create them, mashallah, good. By fitrah, man is good. but later they commit a lot of sins. Then summa radadnahu asfalasa filina, because of the mistake, the sayyat, the sins that they have made. God fashioned Adam out of a baked clay, which when organized into a human being, produce and extract sulala, reproductive semen. When injected into the womb, this semen undergoes a creative process, as has been described in the Quran, the process of the creating the baby, the fetus. The place of man in God's universe. So where are we in this world, in this world? Okay, man is God creature, just like other created beings, but the whole creatures, you see, meaning that we are also the rest also is the creation created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are also created by Allah, but what is the difference between us and them? Man is God creature, just like other created beings, but the whole creatures have been made subservient for him. This is what, you can Google, see a very long discussion especially by Ar-Razi in his tafsir, and the concept of taskhir. Taskhir means, in the Quran there are many ayah, comes in the expression of sakhara lakumul bahra. Sakhara means, from the word sakhara comes the word taskhir. Taskhir means Allah make create things for us, for our use. Allah create the sun for us. Allah create the days and night for us, the stars for us, the water for us, the animal for us. Everything Allah creates for us. There must be hikmah. There must be hikmah. Everything that Allah created. That is the concept of taskhir. Yeah. Okay. Indeed, man has been raised far above most other creatures. We are higher. We are higher because of akal. We have honored the sons of Adam, provided them with transport on land and sea, give them for sustaining things good and pure, and comfort on them special favors above a great part of our creation. This is an honor to men, but we must remember the rule is privilege comes with responsibility. Privilege comes with responsibility. The more privilege we enjoy, actually it doesn't come without nothing. It comes with responsibility. Everything will be questioned later by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so that's, don't simply enjoy it, but we can enjoy it with what they call this, with a responsible, responsible attitude. Because at the end, Allah will question the amanah given to us. Right. The purpose of creation is وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ ibadah. And then under this ibadah also comes khilafah. Khilafah means, it is ibadah is a vertical. Abdun, what is the difference between Abdun and Khalifa? Abdun is the vertical relationship between a person and God, and Khalifa is the horizontal relationship. We are the servant of Allah. At the same time, we are a Khalifa, a vicegerent of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And why we have this khilafah? Of course, because of the akal Allah give us, and with this akal comes the amanah, the trust, the responsibilities. So this make us a moral being. A moral beings means we will be responsible on our behaviors, on our characters, on our characters. Okay. Some people, they, brothers and sisters, some people, they just think about themselves to be good. They have family, but they just care about themselves. They do good alone. Actually, they are supposed to bring together in Jannah. The best things, when we entered into Jannah together with our families, our childrens, and our wife and our spouse. Some people, they think that they can go to Jannah alone. This is, is very, very strange. You cannot go to Jannah alone unless you must make sure that you bring your families together, unless they don't want to go. But you must make sure, meaning that, the sins of your spouse, the sins of your children, meaning that, if you don't do, meaning that if you don't tell them, if you don't educate them, meaning that you don't fulfill your responsibility, meaning that you will be questioned. You will be questioned, meaning that in this situation, not only our sins will harm us, but those who are under our responsibilities also, their sin also will harm us, because we are not only abdun, we are also Khalifa. Khalifa means our responsibility toward others. But there are limitations. La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Okay. What is a Khalifa? Khalifa means the one who exercises delegated power on behalf of the supreme authority. Allah sent us here to rule according to his power or authority. In this way, he is not the master, but the deputy of the one who has entrusted him with power. Let's say, for example, our country sent us to be representative in the United Nations, meaning that what we speak there in the United Nations should represent the aspiration of our country. You cannot go there, at the end you do something against the country, because it is your country that sent you there. The same, when Allah sent us as his representative, is Khalifa, it means that we are not free to do whatever we do against his what they call this, his wills or his commands. We are here because of him and for him. Okay. A Khalifa is entrusted with certain powers to govern and manage the world. Of course, God will equip us. In order to be a Khalifa, there must be what they call tools. There must be tools, and Allah knows, and Allah equip us. A Khalifa is given freedom of action, but he has to choose the right thing and leave the wrong things. A Khalifa has duties and responsibilities to his creator, to himself, to his fellow men, and to other creatures of Allah. A Khalifa is equipped with knowledge. Allah gives knowledge of everything good and bad, right and wrong, so that he is able to establish justice. Allah provided man with everything he needs to fulfill his responsibilities, material and immaterial things. A Khalifa will be held responsible and accountable for all his actions on the day of judgment. This we must remember. Dunya is not everything. Dunya is a transit only, where we use all the property given by Allah to us, we invest it, and then the return we will bring back to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we invest the property given by Allah in the wrong way, then we will be answerable. But if we invest the property given by Allah in the right way, so it become our what they call our benefits that we will enjoy in the next life. A Khalifa is promised paradise if he succeeds in fulfilling his responsibilities, and hellfire if he fails to do so. Allah has from time to time sent prophets and messengers to guide the children of Adam Okay, responsibilities of a Khalifa. We have social responsibilities. We have economic responsibilities. We have political responsibilities, and we have a religious response. There are many other responsibilities that might be not this four, but it is according to our what they call this limitation. Responsible, responsibility from two words, response and able. Responsibility from two words, response and able. If you are able to respond, it is your responsibility. But if you are not able to respond, then it is not your responsibility. And la yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Okay. And I think the last one is related to man is the concept of amanah. Amanah is the common name for the responsibility given to man as a Khalifa, which he must fulfill. Allah says, we did indeed offer the trust to the heavens and the earth and the mountains, but they refused to undertake it, being afraid thereof. But man undertook it. He was indeed unjust, zalim, and jahul, and foolish. So meaning that man is not actually unjust and foolish, but here the what they call this sifat is directed to those who ignore their responsibilities. If they ignore their responsibilities, they take for granted their responsibilities, then they fall under these two categories, which is zalim and jahul. Zalim and jahul. Okay, I think that's and then okay. Oh, sorry, this is another one. The meaning and concept of fitrah. This is also related to men. Fitrah means what? The natural constitution with which a child is created and born, whereby he is capable of accepting the religion of truth. Kullu mauludin yuladu alal fitrah. Every newborn is born under fitrah or in fitrah. The Prophet is reported to have said, every child is born with a true faith, fitrah, that is to worship Allah alone. But his parents convert him to Judaism, Christianity, and Maganism, Majusi. I think that's briefly about what I call this about fitrah. This fitrah. Another definition of fitrah is the pattern by which God creates man. The pattern by which God creates man. When Allah create his creation, Allah create the sun, Allah create the animal, Allah create together with the pattern. The sun has its pattern, the animal has its patterns, the cow has its pattern. Everything with patterns. Everything with pattern. This is what we call sunnatullah. Sunnatullah. The law of Allah, the pattern of Allah. But when it comes to fitrah, when it comes to man, there is a specific sunnatullah. The name actually refers to fitrah. Fitrah is the fitrah is the pattern for man. Under the bigger we call sunnatullah. But for man, it is being specific what we call fitrah. So this fitrah, meaning by born, meaning that it's supposed to be good, but because of the environment, and then sometimes we go against this fitrah. Remember, when you go against fitrah, meaning that there will be consequence. There will be consequence. Every things that against fitrah, you can expect some consequence. Like the sun, for example, the fitrah of the sun rising from the east and set in the west. But later the sun will rise from the west and set from the east, meaning that the sun goes against fitrah. So wait for the consequence, which is the sign of qiyamah. I think hopefully it will make you understand. This is very important. The two concept, which is the concept of Allah. We talk about Tawheed and the concept of man in the Quran and Sunnah. Thank you very much. I pass the button back to Mr. Shahab. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much. Jazakallahu khairan.
Afwan.
Jazakallahu khairan, Dr. Abdul Latif.
Afwan.
Yeah, so we would like to know whether Dr. Saidatolakma is available or she is not yet in. Do we have any question and answer, Dato'?
No, they go to the chat box.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Latif.
Dr.
Welcome, yeah.
Brown, sir. Dr. Saidatolakma already coming.
Yes, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Without further ado, the program would like to invite Dr. Saidatolakma to proceed with her topic, Islamic Jurisprudence. Inshallah. Please, Doctor.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you to the moderator. Okay, Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alaikumsalam
I will
warahmatullahi.
continue.
Assalamualaikum.
Okay, and the historical topic development. Right. Okay, so let me share the slide here. Okay, we can see the slides. Let me make it. Okay, so during the last class, the last session, we have discussed the stage 1 and the stage 2, okay, for the historical developments of fiqh. And now we continue with the stage 3, third stage, and also fourth stage. Okay, which is it's the building of fiqh, okay, and also the flowering of fiqh. Okay, the building of fiqh and also the flowering of fiqh. So the building of fiqh, this is during the Umayyad dynasty, and the flowering of fiqh during the Abbasid dynasty. Okay, so let us move. So the third stage, okay, building of fiqh, the era of the Umayyad dynasty, right? Okay, so this stage is regarded as the building stage, okay, the building stage of fiqh, okay, and it begins with the rise of Umayyad dynasty and ends with the fall of this dynasty. So the building of fiqh, okay, so it happened during this period of time. All right. So the Umayyads, okay, were in power for approximately 1 century, starting from the death of the last righteous caliph, okay, Ali ibn Abi Talib, okay, in 661 Christ era, and the ascendancy of the founder of the Umayyad dynasty, okay, Caliph Muawiyah, okay, Ibn Abi Sufyan, okay, until the last of the Umayyad caliph around the middle of 8th century. So basically, this is the period, okay, of this Umayyad dynasty. Okay, during this Umayyad dynasty, what happened actually? Okay, there were certain practices that contradict with the fiqh practice previously practiced. Okay, for example, the central treasury. Okay, the central treasury Baitul Mal. Okay, Baitul Mal, okay, was turned into the personal property of the caliphs and also the family, okay, of this caliph. Okay, so Baitul Mal is was turned to personal property of this caliph and family. Okay, but before was not like that, right? So and also the office of caliph, okay, the office of caliph was converted, okay, into that of hereditary kingship. Okay, then actually this situation or these developments affected, okay, the relationship, okay, between the caliphs and also the scholars, okay, in that time. Okay, so this actually resulted in, okay, so to the end of the principles of shura. So what is the meaning of shura? So it's consultative government, yeah, right? So that was what was happened, okay, during this Umayyad dynasty. So also happened in this time, okay, the expansions of Islamic state boundary. So it became widened, okay, and there were naturally more problems and also issues, okay, emerged, okay, during this time. So many people, okay, during that time they embraced Islam. Okay, of course they were from different backgrounds, okay, different cultures, okay, and also customs, and also the questions raised, okay, by them were different in nature. Okay, so this situation, okay, leads the Muslim jurists, the scholars, okay, at that time, okay, to find out sources of Islamic law, okay, in arriving, okay, to the best solution, okay, for these issues and problems, right? So during this time also there was effort, okay, there was an effort to codify, okay, the fatwa of Sahaba, okay, the views and opinions of Sahaba. So this was during the times of dynasty of Umayyad dynasty. Okay, so next we move. Okay, developments of fiqh. Now, okay, so what are the obvious developments of fiqh during this time? Okay, so first, increase in the issues related to fiqh and ijtihad. Okay, in the issues, yes, because of this expansion, okay, of Islamic state's boundary. Okay, many people embrace Islam, so there were new issues, there were new problems raised up by them. Okay, so this is due to the expansions of the Islamic Empire. Okay, so the backgrounds of the people was different in terms of culture, customs, and lifestyles. Okay, and of course the nature of questions also any diverse, any varied, any different. Okay, from one place to another place. Okay, the nature of the issues of fiqh also varied to be resolved by the scholars. Okay, so because of the scholars, they are spirited, okay, they're scattered in different places, okay, so they tend to use personal ijtihad, okay, because during that time there are any difficulties, it was difficult, okay, to be together, or the Muslim scholars to be together to be in ijma, to do ijma, okay, like unlike the previous time, like during the companions' time, okay. So here, okay, during this time, they tend to use the personal ijtihad, okay, the personal reason, personal opinion more, okay. So yes. All right. So this also, like I said just now, this dispersion, okay, this dispersions of the scholars resulted of the breakdowns of the principles of ijma. Okay, like I said, it was difficult, okay, to be together, okay, to discuss, okay, to solve, okay, the issues raised. So the scholars, they decided to use their own personal ijtihad in order to solve those issues. Okay? All right. Then, and of course, yeah, the methodologies, okay, the way, the principles they use are different, okay, are different from one scholars to another scholars, okay, based on the place, right? And of course, but still, they based on the principles provided, okay, in the Al-Quran and the Sunnah. Okay, so the methodologies, the methodologies and the peoples of Medina, for example, were very much influenced, were very much influenced by the views of the prominent companions of the Prophet Abdullah, the companions of the Prophet like Abdullah bin Umar. So I wanted to say that, the methodologies, in different places, were different. And the people also were influenced, by the methodologies, used or utilized by the scholar at that particular place. All right, so like for example, Medina, they were influenced by views and opinions that were developed by, opinions of their scholars. So for instance, peoples of Medina were influenced by the views of Abdullah ibn Umar. So in Kufa, for example, Iraq, so the peoples there, were influenced by the opinions of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, for example. So that was the thing. The second is spreading and fabrications of hadith. Spreadings and fabrications of hadith. So the narrations of hadith spread rapidly, during these times. However, there was no systematic compilations of Sunnah. So the implications of this situation, so there is positive impact and also a negative impact of it, this one. We know during this time there was no systematic codifications of Sunnah or compilations of Sunnah. So whenever there was an issue, the Mujtahid or the scholars, we find out in their capacity, we find out the individual narrations of hadith, handed over by these companions, the Sahaba and the students. In their capacities, they will find out the individual narration, of the hadith, of a Sunnah, for example. So what are the positive impact? What is the positive impact? So the positive impact is the extensive reference to the Sunnah in resolving issues of fiqh because they were accessible. So they are more to refer, to Sunnah, in deducing the fiqh ruling. That was the positive impact. But the negative impact, what was it? So increasing tendency towards fabrications of Sunnah. Fabrication of Sunnah. Why? Because when the scholars try to find out the individual narrations of hadith, for example, so actually this led to tendency towards fabrications of Sunnah or hadith. What were the reasons of this fabrication? First, the main reason was that because of what we call fanaticism. Fanaticism. All right, as to it, certain sect, for example, certain mazhab, for example, certain yes. So they tend to fabricate it. Hadith. And in addition, they tend to, they would like to encourage, people to do good deeds. To do good deeds. How? By creating hadith, about the virtues of good deeds. So people when they read, this hadith, when they knew the hadith, so they will do, the good deeds, because of the virtues, because they know from this hadith. And also, they would like to prevent, bad deeds. For example, they created hadith, they fabricated hadith about, punishments, punishment for certain bad deeds or evil deeds, for example, so that people will prevent themselves from this action, or practice. So these were two implications. Yes. So this also, it actually hindered and extended the process in arriving to the legal rulings, as the scholars have to investigate investigate the authenticity of all the narrations of Sunnah. Okay, because of these fabrications of hadith, Muslims, okay, this led to extensions of process, okay, and deducing the fiqh rulings. Why? Why? Because the scholars need to, they need to find out, investigate, okay, the authenticity of certain hadiths, for example. Okay, so this will extend, okay, the process of deducing the hukum. Yeah. Then it also led to the some scholars actually they rejected certain true hadiths because they knew, okay, this hadith from the fabricators. Okay, so they tend to reject it. Okay, this hadith, they tend to reject, okay, this hadith. Okay, and so actually this phenomenon, I mean the spreading of fabrications of hadith, okay, in Kufa especially, or Iraq especially, okay, the scholars there, okay, they provided certain guideline or certain conditions, okay, for accepting this certain hadith, okay, during that time. Okay, so next, emergence of the school of hadith, okay, and the schools of opinion. Okay, emergence of the school of hadith, okay, school of hadith, with this madrasa, okay, of the school, okay, they tend to use reason more than the sunnah. Okay, so basically this madrasa to Ahli Ra'i, okay, situated in Kufa or Iraq. Okay, this not to say that they reject hadith, okay, but then they put really any concerns, or they put they beware, okay, be careful, okay, to accept, okay, certain hadiths, okay. So because of this, they tend to to use personal reason more, okay, than referring to hadith, because we know during that time, Kufa, especially Iraq, okay, there was fabrications of hadith, so they be careful, okay, the scholars there be careful, okay, to accept, okay, certain hadith. Okay, moving to the next slide. Okay, so differences, okay, between the methodology of Madrasat al-Ahli al-Hadith and also Madrasat Ahli Ra'i. Okay, so what are the differences? Okay. So, okay, the main difference is that, okay, the methodologies used, okay, by the scholars in deducing the fiqh ruling. So, for example, Madrasat al-Ahli Hadith, they refer more to available text. Okay, for example, they more refer to Sunnah. Okay, but Madrasat al-Ahli Hadith, Ra'i, they use more personal view or personal opinion or personal reason. Okay, so let us look at the slide. Okay, so exercising of opinion, scholars of Madrasat Ahli al-Hadith use most available texts of the Quran and Sunnah in deducing the rulings of fiqh, whereas scholars of the Madrasat Ahli Ra'i use personal ijtihad or opinion in deducing a fiqh ruling. Why? Because of the reason that I have explained just now. Okay, so for Madrasat Ahli al-Hadith, they would avoid making personal legal rulings on an issue if there were no clearly defined, okay, in the Quran, okay, or Sunnah, okay, because their stand was that, okay, whatever Allah has defined, okay, so we need to take it, and whatever left undefined, so it need to be left undefined. Okay, all right. So Madrasat al-Ahli Ra'i is was different. Okay, so they use personal ijtihad more, right? So what was their stand, right? So they said, okay, they believe that all of the various laws, okay, revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had identifiable reasons. okay, and objectives, okay, maqasids behind those rulings or laws, okay. So whether this reasons, okay, you know, these reasons or objectives, okay, has been identified or not. All right, so must be reason. Okay, that's why this was their rules. Okay, their rules to find out what are the reasons. Okay, even though it's not specifically, it was not specifically identified by in the Quran by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, the Prophet. Okay, so because of this stance, okay, they believe, okay, there must be a reason, so they try to find out the reason. Okay, then they will apply, okay, the rulings, the laws, okay, to other circumstances that have the same idea, the same reason. I mean, the same ilah, yeah, the similar causes. All right. So then we move to the second point. Okay, it's about the hypothetical fiqh. Okay, what is hypothetical fiqh? It is imaginary fiqh, or any based on any things or issues that that had not happened, that are not happened yet, for example. Yeah. So the scholars of Madrasa Ahli al-Hadith will always try to find a solution for the current issues. So this Madrasa Ahli al-Hadith, they will base on the real issues. Okay, they base on the real issues to find the solution. Okay, and resolve them based on the text available, while the scholars of Madrasa al-Ra'i always invented variations of existing situations and imaginary solutions to work out and record it. Okay, so for this Madrasa al-Ra'i, so they always ask question like, what if it were like this? Okay, what is the solutions if this situation like this, for example? Yeah, so it based on imaginary. Okay, they invented, okay, variations of existing issues, of existing situations, okay, and also imaginary solutions. Okay, so these are the differences, okay, between the methodology of Madrasatul Ahli al-Hadith and also Madrasatul Ahli al-Ra'i. Okay. Okay, next. Okay, reasons for the existence of Madrasat Ahli al-Hadith and Madrasat Ahli al-Ra'i. Okay, so the main factor for the emergence of these two approaches in their respective location was mainly due to the different backgrounds and methodologies used by the scholars, okay, in deducing the ruling facts, okay, in a particular place. Okay, so there are a great number of hadiths, okay, other reasons that there are a great number of hadiths and other narrations available to the people of Madinah. Okay, great number of hadiths. Okay, and other narrations available to the people of Madinah. Yes, we know Madinah was the place of birthplace of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and there were so many companions there. Okay, so of course there was an abundance of hadiths, okay, in Madinah. Okay, compared to Kufa or Iraq, okay, where there was, you know, not so many, okay, not so many hadiths, okay, found there. Okay, the scholars there were not, they did not know much, okay, and not know so many about the hadiths. Yeah. Okay. Okay, then like for example, companions were in Medina, the companions, the prominent companions of this Prophet. Okay, Abu Bakr, for example, Umar, okay, Uthman, radiallahu anhu. Okay, on the other hand, the number of companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam who settled in Iraq was very small, and the number of hadiths were very few. That is why, yeah, that is why they tend to use personal ijtihad more, okay, than to referring to hadith. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay, and we know also Baghdad, okay, or Kufa, Iraq, Okay, it become the place where different people from vast backgrounds and touches gathered, which consequently resulted to the increasing number of issues which were unfamiliar to the Muslim scholars of the time. Okay, and also it was the place of fabrication and fabricated hadith. Okay, so which had prompted the scholars to impose strict conditions in accepting a particular hadith. So this situation actually led to what we say resulted the scholars to depend more on reasons rather than depend on the authentic narrations of the Sunnah or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, then secondly, the spread of the two methods also due to the influence of the scholars. Okay, the influence of the scholars of these places with the methodology of their mentor from among the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, so influence of the scholars of these places with the methodology of their mentor from among the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the scholars, scholars of Medina, such as Abdullah ibn Umar. Okay, so he learned. Okay, Abdullah ibn Umar learned and graduated. Okay, in the hands of the major scholars of Al-Madinah. Okay, and who follows the approach of madrasati ahli al-hadith. Okay, and then he later propagated the method to his students, and later on contributed to the spreading of this approach in Medina. Okay, the scholars of Iraq. Okay, so Iraq, what happened? Okay, for example, the scholars like Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Okay, so he was influenced. Okay, he was influenced. Okay, by the earlier scholars. Okay, by the earlier scholars of Iraq who propagated the approach of madrasah ahli ra'i. Okay, so this actually contributing to the increasing influence of this approach. I mean, of this madrasah ahli ra'i in Iraq. Okay, and the third one, the simple lifestyle in Hijaz. Okay, the simple lifestyle in Hijaz and complex lifestyle in Iraq also contributed to the existence of these two approaches. Okay, so simple lifestyle in Hijaz. Okay, there were not so many problems, image. Okay, new issues, right? Compared to Iraq. Okay, so Iraq we know the different people, different backgrounds of people, cultures and customs. Okay, they embrace Islam and their race. Okay, many issues, many problems. Okay, related to faith, for example, right? So it becomes complicated life. Okay, in Iraq, right? So so actually this led to the different nature of issues. Okay, different natures of issues and problems. Okay, which needed to be faced. Okay, by the scholars there. Okay, by the scholars in Iraq, by the scholars in Kufa. Okay, and consequently, what happened? Okay, this actually prompted them to rely on their opinion. Okay, in resolving those issues, in resolving those problems, right? Okay, because of the lifestyle. Okay, different lifestyle. Okay, so where we find in Hijaz, a very simple and easygoing style, lifestyle, but it was complicated, when turned to Iraq, right? Okay, so these are the reasons, for the existence of madrasatul ahli ra'i and also madrasatul ahli al-hadith. Okay, why they use ra'i, for example, why they utilize personal views or personal ijtihad more than referring to sunnah, for example, available text. There were reasons. Yeah? Okay. Then moving to next slide. Okay, compilations during this period. Okay, the Sunnah was not completely compiled during this period. So during the Umayyad dynasty, okay, the Sunnah was not completely compiled during this period. Okay, was not completely codified. Okay, during this period, even though there was effort, okay, to compile, to codify. Okay, but then it was not complete. Okay, as for the compilations of legal rulings, the very first effort. Okay, the very first effort was started during this period. Okay, the compilations of the rulings, compilations of fatwa of Sahaba, of scholars, for example, it started. Okay, during this period, during this time. Okay, the scholars of Hijaz collected the various fatwas of Abdullah ibn Abbas, for example, yeah, in Hijaz, for example, yeah. There was effort, okay, an effort to collect, okay, to compile, okay, the fatwa. Okay, fatwa of Abdullah ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Umar, Aisha ibn Abu Bakr. Okay, there was an effort. Okay, same goes to Iraq. Yeah, the scholars of Iraq, they started to compile, okay, the rulings, okay, the rulings of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, okay, and those of Ali ibn Abi Talib, for example. So wanted to say here that the compilations of fiqh rulings, okay, of legal rulings started, okay, during this period of time. Okay, so yes. Okay, now we move to the fourth stage. Okay, the fourth stage of fiqh development. Okay, that is flowering of fiqh. Okay, the flowering of fiqh, and we can also say the golden era of fiqh. Yeah. So this was during the times of the Abbasid era, the Abbasid era. All right, so it happened during the times, this date, 750 and to 950 first era. Okay. So this stage started from the beginning of the 2nd century of Hijrah. Okay, with the rise of the Abbasid dynasty founded by Caliph Abu Abbas. Okay, so our first Caliph, okay, for this Abbasid era was Caliph Abu Abbas. Okay, Abu Abbas. Okay, and ended to the middle of the 1st century of Hijrah. Okay, 950 first era. Okay, so during which the decline of the Abbasid dynasty could be observed. Okay, so the decline, okay, of this dynasty, okay, 950 Christ era. Okay, so the Caliph, okay, during these times, okay, they supported Islamic scholarship. Okay, supported the Islamic scholarship. Okay, there were debates. Okay, there were discussions. Okay, on fiqh, right? So meaning that they support. Okay, they support this the scholars. Yeah, the Muslim scholar, the Islamic scholarship, right? So, and of course, and also, you know, during this period, the various principles of fiqh were developed. Okay, by the scholars. Okay, and the opinions of the four mazhab were compiled and codified. Yeah? During these times, the views or the opinions of four mazhab, okay, the prominent mazhab, okay, were codified and compiled. Okay. So, like I said, okay, this era actually, okay, also known as the golden fiqh period. Okay, the flourishing, okay, the flourishing fiqh, the periods of fiqh, okay, the codification period, okay, and the periods of mujtahideen. Also can say that, yeah. Okay, so the emergence of several prominent Muslim scholars who later become independent, okay, mujtahids and established mazhab was also remarkable periods of this period. Okay, so meaning that the four prominent mazhab, they started to develop, okay, during this time, the Abbasid era. Okay, so Imam Shafi'i, Hanafi, okay, Hanbali, okay, Maliki, okay, they started, okay, to establish mazhab, okay, during this period. Okay, next. Factors affecting the development of faith, Okay, factors affecting the development of fiqh during this era. Okay, we have 6 factors. All right. So first, government support towards the development of fiqh and fuqaha. Okay, so they have close relationship. Okay, the caliphs. Okay, the government has had a close relationship with the scholars. Okay, Muslim scholars during that time. Okay. So Abbasid caliphs, okay, involved, okay, in and support, in his support, they encourage, okay, the scholars, okay, and also this caliph, they assisted, okay, the scholars, okay, in developing the science of Islam, okay, including fiqh. Okay, so for example, okay, Caliph Al-Mansur, okay, Caliph Al-Mansur, okay, one of the caliphs, okay, during this time, okay, so he consulted Imam Malik, okay, he consulted Imam Malik about allowing him to make his famous compilations on the Sunnah, called Al-Muwatta, as the constitutions of the state, okay, as the state's constitution, right? So which resulted in having the mazhab of Imam Malik binding on all Muslims. Okay, so this one to show, okay, that the government support, okay, the government relationship with the scholars. Okay, so we have also Caliph Harun, okay, Caliph Harun al-Rashid. So this caliph, so he requested from Imam Abu Yusuf, okay, Imam Abu Yusuf, to draft the law related to the administrations of land. Okay, administrations of land, and the Imam wrote his famous book titled, okay, Kitab al-Kharaj. Okay, Kitab al-Kharaj. So it was about administrations of land. Okay, so this became a reference, okay, to the state. Okay, then also Caliph al-Ma'mun also, okay, this caliph also supported, okay, the scholars, okay, by attending their circle, by attending the discussion, okay, and he also debated with scholars. Okay, so this also actually want to show that the support, okay, the government supports toward the developments of fiqh and the fuqaha. Okay, next we move emergence. Okay, the second factor, okay, was the emergence of competent mujtahideen and the spreads of debate and discussion. Okay, emergence of competent mujtahideen. So we have the prominent mazhab, the prominent scholars, mujtahid, okay, that have their own mazhab. Okay, the founders of the major schools of fiqh, okay, were produced in this period. For example, yeah, so they, like I said, just like Imam Abu Hanifa, okay, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, okay, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. Okay, so these prominent scholars, they developed their school, okay, of fiqh during this time, and which was later further expanded, okay, later expanded, yes, by their students, right? So these prominent scholars, they created the environments of discussion and academic debate. Okay, so this actually contributed, okay, significantly, okay, in the developments of fiqh. Yeah, okay. So yes, number 3, expansions of the Islamic Empire. Okay, the expansions of Islamic Empire. Yes, as we know, so the Islamic state boundary was expanded, okay, during this time. Okay, so this expansion actually resulted in the increase of the issues of fiqh, okay, needed needed to be resolved by these scholars. Okay, so the vast differences, okay, the vast differences in the cultural background, okay, as well as the customs of the people, okay, in these regions under the Islamic Empire led to the diversion to the nature of issues raised. Okay, so the scholars, they actually, because of this, they developed different methods, okay, different methods of ijtihad in order to find the solution, in order to find the hukum, the rulings, okay, for those issues. But of course, okay, even though they developed methods, but these methods actually based on the principles of principles provided by the Quran and the Sunnah. Okay, so this expansion also they contributed to result in the increasing in the centers of learning, okay, particularly in the major states in Islamic Empire. So what happened? So many scholars, they travel from one place to another place in order to improve their knowledge. Okay, like for example, journey of Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani. Okay, so it was a prominent student of Abu Hanifa. So he traveled, okay, from Iraq to Medina in order to study under Imam Malik, for example. Yeah, so this is the result, okay, the impact, okay, of these expansions of the Islamic Empire. So you know, many centers of learning, okay, developed or established. So this resulted in many scholars, they traveled from one place to another place to improve their knowledge, okay, to seek knowledge, right? Okay, then we move to the next factor, okay, Compilations of Sunnah. Okay, so during this time, the compilations of Sunnah, the codifications of Sunnah was completely done. Okay, Compilations of Sunnah. Okay, so this effort, which was undertaken by the scholars of Hadith, okay, contributed significantly in the development of fiqh, and also contributed significantly in reducing the burden of proving the authenticity of a particular hadith among the fuqaha and reducing the rulings of fiqh. Yeah, okay. So during this time, hadith or sunnah was completely compiled and codified, so it became reference, okay, to the scholars in reducing the hukum. Yeah, okay. So so actually there were steps, okay, steps in the developments of codifications of Sunnah. Okay, so the scholars of this time codified the Sunnah without incorporating them with the sayings of scholars as it was done previously. Okay, so this Sunnah was compiled, okay, based on the narratives. Okay, like for example, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Okay, so he compiled, okay, many traditions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his famous compilations named Musnad Imam Ahmad. Okay, so he began the compilation, okay, by compiling all the hadiths narrated by Abu Bakr, for example. Okay, and then by Umar, and then by Uthman, okay, and so on. Okay, so that was the effort made by Imam Ahmad. Okay, Musnad Imam Ahmad. But later on, okay, the codifications or compilations of Sunnah, okay, was based on topics of fiqh. Okay, like we have now, okay, in Sahih Imam Bukhari, okay, Sahih Muslim, okay, Sunan Nasa'i, Sunan Abu Dawud, okay, Jami' at-Tirmizi and Sunan Ibn Majah. Okay, so based on topic of fiqh, right? Okay, so next, the factors affecting the development of fiqh was the compilations of fiqh. It's compilations of fiqh. Yeah, so many books, okay, many books of fiqh written, okay, by the scholars, okay, and also we have principles of Islamic law, principles of fiqh. So books was written, like for example, books of Imam Shafi'i, Arisalah. Okay, fatwa was compiled, was codified. Yeah. Books, right? And then emergence, okay, emergence of different schools of law, okay, emergence of different schools of Islamic law, for example, you know, so all the above factors, the four mazhab, yeah, the four mazhab, okay, different schools of Islamic law, like for example, the prominent mazhab, okay, by four prominent mujtahid, okay. So actually all these factors mentioned, okay, contributed, okay, to this emergence, okay, to this establishment of the different schools, right, to the establishment and the development of these schools, okay. Yes, of course. In fact, there were another schools, okay, other schools of Islamic law, like for example, schools which were founded during this period, such as the schools of Al-Awza'i, okay, Sufyan al-Thawri, Ibn al-Layla, and so on. Okay, however, most of these schools, okay, most of them disappeared, okay, later on, and because why? Because lack of effort, okay, in spreading and codifying these the views of these scholars. Okay, the views developed by them founders of these schools. Okay, unlike the four prominent mazhabs. Okay, so the four prominent mazhabs, okay, continued, okay, until now because of the efforts of their students, okay, in spreading, okay, in codifying, yeah, their views, the scholars' views. Okay, so I think I have reached, okay, the time is 10:30 already. Okay, so I think that's all. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we stop. Okay, so actually this one, what we have to discuss just now, the explanation, right? Okay, so shukran. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Akmal.
Now, yeah, welcome. Shukran. Afwan.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you that you have sharing with us the great lecture. We hope that we will meet you again in the next class, inshallah, Doctor.
Inshallah.
So our program will break until 11, right, Dato?
Yes,
Inshallah.
yes. We half an hour break. Then we start at 11 o'clock.
So we can break all to take the coffee, inshallah. We will come back at 11. Thank you all.
You all can view the shared notes of Saidatolakma and all the others in your group. And then you can also listen to the recorded lecture. You check from the group, okay? Thank you very much.
Alhamdulillah, khair. We have missed you with the last class. We didn't see.
Yes, unfortunately, I cannot attend last week class. So I'm here today.
Alhamdulillah. So you can test first with the screen, Doctor.
Okay, sure. Bismillah. Let me share the screen first.
Okay, we saw it.
Okay, okay.
Okay, we have 3 minutes more, Doctor.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Assalamualaikum to all. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wa bihi nasta'in wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Thank you to Allah who have given us the chance to continue our class today. Alhamdulillah, we have done the first half of the class. So now we will continue our class until the end, inshallah. Syukran lakum jami'an an takuna ma'ana hatta fi nihayatul fasli, inshallah. Wa syukran lillahi annahu ta'ala a'tana fursatan limawasalati fasluna al-yawm. We don't waste the time anymore. We will begin with Dr. Khairul Fahmi with his lecture on the title Principle of Islamic Jurisprudence. As we know it as Usul al-Fiqh. The program in the you, Doctor, to come in. فليتفضل مشكورا.
Okay, شكرا جزيلا يا أختي. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Doctor, we have 45.
Yes, okay, good. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. So, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashraf al-anbiya wal-mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli, amma ba'd. So, alhamdulillah, okay, today still I will have the opportunity to join this short course in Fiqh and Usul al-Fiqh. So last week, actually, I couldn't join the class session because I have, matters to attend to. But I actually has request my dear colleague, Dr. Said Mohsin, to replace me, in which I believe he actually has given a lecture on Imam Shafi'i and his Risalah, his book of Risalah. So today we're going to continue with the next topic, which is Mabahith al-Hukum. Okay, so today this topic actually is quite a long one, but for this short course, actually I have compressed this topic, okay, into one slide, and under this Mabahith al-Hukum, actually we have like 4 subtopics. Usually, one subtopic will actually require me to give lecture around 1.5 hours. Okay, 1 hour and a half. Okay, but for this short course, I try my best to shorten it, and inshallah, I will try my best to touch all the important things in this topic. So let's dive straight away. Bismillah. Okay, Islamic. Okay, Mabahith al-Hukum. So these are the subtopics that we're gonna today. Firstly, we have al-Hakim, okay, which is the lawgiver, the true source from which the law originates. Okay. Number two, we have al-Mahkum fi, the act on which the hukum operates. Number three, we have mahkum alayh, okay, subject, okay, this subject or legal person for whom conduct the hukum is stipulated. And finally, we have al-hukum, the ruling itself. Okay. So we're gonna discuss this for subtopic one by one after this, inshallah. Okay, next. Okay, al-Hakim. Al-Hakim here refers to Allah Almighty, to whom the hukum originates. His will and command is known to the mukallaf either directly through divine revelation, through holy scriptures, or indirectly by means of inference, deduction, and ijtihad. Okay, so only Allah actually have the privilege to actually legislate laws or revelation. Okay, the prerogative of command belongs to God alone. Okay, Allah said in the Quran Al-Karim, Inna al-hukma illa lillah. Okay, the hukum belongs to Allah alone. Okay, so Allah actually again can actually legislate law or reveal law to humankind. Okay, so continue. Next. The majority of jurists agree that lawgiver lays down laws in the interest of men. Okay, so yes, majority of scholars actually they unanimously agree that whenever Allah actually lays down laws, it is actually for our benefit, for our interest as human being. But is man free to determine his own interest, or is it predetermined by the lawgiver? Okay. A theological question arises as to how men can know that something is good, which they should do it, or bad, that they should avoid it. Okay, so this is the question. Okay, so the jurists are in disagreement of the way in which the will or the hukum of the lawgiver regarding the conduct of mukallaf is to be known or identified. So right now, we're going to look into the differences of opinion between these scholars on this issue, on this theological question. Okay, let's see together. Okay, so here, whether, you know, the value of good or bad, right or wrong, okay, can be known actually only by revelation alone, or we only, I mean, we could also actually know by using our human rationale. Okay. So let's see. Okay, actually here we have you know, three. Okay. Firstly, with oh, sorry, subhanallah. Okay. Firstly, in your left side we have the Ash'aris. Okay. The Ash'aris. Okay. And in the middle one, we're going to have the Mu'tazilis, and the last one, we're going to have the Maturidis and Hanafis. Okay, so let's look at the first one. So, according to Ash'aris, or the majority of scholars, the laws of Allah can be discovered through revelation alone. Okay, only actually by revelation, the laws of Allah can actually be communicated to human being. Okay, it is not possible for human intellect to determine what is good and evil in the conduct of mukallaf without divine guidance, because human reasoning and judgment are liable to, you know, error. Okay, right and wrong are not determined by reference to the nature of things or our perception, but it's actually determined by God. Okay, not by, you know, by our perception, what is good, what is right. I mean, what is good, what is bad, or what is you know, right, what is wrong. Okay, it is actually determined by Allah only. So what is the legal effect from this, you know, opinion? So a man is not required to do something or to avoid something, to avoid doing it, unless the law has been communicated to him in advance. Okay, no one is either rewarded for an act or punished for an omission unless he knows its status by means of clear communication. So this is, I mean, the legal effect of this opinion. So if let's say the man actually didn't actually receive any revelation, then he cannot be, you know, rewarded or cannot be punished. Okay, Allah said in Quran Al-Karim, وما كنا معذبين حتى نبعث رسولا, and we never punish until we send a messenger. Okay, so that is what we call it the justice of Allah, where Allah will actually never punish human being until Allah send a messenger to give the teaching, warning, and whatnot. Okay, this is the first group. Number two, we have the group of Mu'tazilis. Okay, Mu'tazilites agreed with the majority of scholars, okay, that the source of law is from Allah. Okay, so they agree on this point, but they actually disagree on this latter point, which is they disagree with them, with the majority of scholars about the identification and discovery of these laws prior to revelation. So this is where Mu'tazilah actually differ from the Ash'aris and majority of scholars. So according to Mu'tazilis, human intellect can identify the law of God regarding the conduct of mukallaf, even without the mediation of scriptures or messengers. So this is, the opinion of Mu'tazilis. Okay, they said our human mind actually capable of determining, okay, what is, good or bad, right or wrong, without the mediation from the scripture or messengers. The aql can identify the good and evil in human conduct by reference to its benefit and harm. Okay, this is because God only asks the mukallaf to do what is beneficial and forbid a human being from doing what is harmful. Okay, of course, this is, in ways it makes sense. Okay, because whenever Allah requires us to do something, it is actually for the benefit of human being. Okay, but and then whenever Allah actually forbid us from doing something, it is actually for because that thing is actually harmful to us. Okay, so this is the opinion of Mu'tazilis. So what is the legal effect from this opinion? The person who has received no communication from the lawgiver can still be considered mukallaf and will be held responsible on the basis of reason, alone. Thus, he or she will be rewarded or punished accordingly. Okay, so following this theory, this opinion, if let's say, there is no revelation, there is no messenger, then people can still be rewarded and still be punished based on the, human reason alone. This is the opinion of Mu'tazilis. And finally, we have Maturidis and Hanafis. The Maturidis and Hanafis suggested a middle course. Okay, so they actually take a middle course. Right and wrong in conduct of mukallaf can indeed, according to this third group, can be ascertained and evaluated by human intellect. Okay, but the law of God in regard to such conduct is not always identical with dictates of aql. For human intellect is liable to error. Yes, because sometimes what is actually good to human being, it is actually not good according to Allah. So this is what actually has been said by the Hanafis and Maturidis. The knowledge of right and wrong, or reward and punishment, must be based on divine communication. Okay, so there must be revelation from Allah. And the effect from this, opinion or theory, a person who has received no communication from lawgiver cannot be considered mukallaf and cannot be held responsible on the basis of reason alone. Okay, so the fact that human mind can actually know what is actually good, what is bad, actually doesn't constitute a suffice basis, okay, to punish or to reward human being, because there must be, revelation from God. Thus, he or she will neither be rewarded for an action or be punished for an omission unless there is clear communication from the God. Okay, so these are the three, group, okay, or three opinion, okay, in related to the issue whether or not we, human being, has the capacity and capability to know what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. Okay, now mahkum fi. Okay, number 2, subtopic number 2, meaning the act, rights and obligation of the mukallaf which constitute the subject matter of command or permissibility. Okay, so this is the meaning. This is because all command and prohibition are concerned with the act and conduct of mukallaf. Yes, so when we talk about this mahkufi, it only concerned with the conduct of human being. Okay, act and conduct of human being. Okay, so condition. An act, okay, whether it is commission, whether it is omission, is regarded as subject matter of the hukum, taklif, when it fulfills the following condition. Okay, so this is the condition that must be fulfilled. Let's see. Okay, firstly, A and B, we have two conditions here. A, its nature must be made known to the mukallaf, like knowing prayer is obligatory. First and foremost, the nature of command must be actually made known to the mukallaf. Okay, if let's say we doesn't know what is the nature, then how could we actually perform it? Okay, there's no obligation to perform an unknown or uncertain act. The reason is that the subject has to conceive the act in his mind first, okay, and usually formulate an intention for its performance. Yes. So if let's say we want to do something, of course we have to actually conceive in our mind first. Okay, we think about it first, and then after that we will actually formulate intention to perform such act. If let's say we doesn't know what is the nature, we actually not sure what kind of act we should do, then it is actually not valid one. Okay, so nature must be made known to mukallaf. Okay, the knowledge about the required act here implies either actual knowledge or at least potential knowledge. Okay, so here we have two types of knowledge. Okay, first actual knowledge, and number two is potential knowledge. So basically, actual knowledge is the mukallaf should either be aware of the nature of the act. Okay, he aware of the nature of the act, and this can be achieved simply by his existence within the Islamic territory. It is suffice. Say that if let's say he stay in the Islamic territory, then it is actually suffice to say that he has the actual knowledge. Okay. Number two, potential knowledge. The mukallaf should be in the position to find out about it directly or indirectly. Okay, basically, I mean, this person actually is actually in the place or position where he actually can ask about this, I mean, this knowledge directly or indirectly. Okay. B, okay, the condition number two, the act must be within the capability of the doer. Okay, in the case of prohibition, be within his capability to avoid, as no one is expected to do the impossible. Yes. Okay, so you know, when you talk about this, you know, obligation, it must be within the capability of human being. Okay. This condition actually is split up into two sub-conditions. Okay, firstly, there is no obligation to perform an impossible act. Yes, okay. The purpose of creating an obligation is to command the obedience of the mukallaf. Okay, if he or she is not able to perform the act, the creation of the obligation becomes futile. You know, it actually defeats the purpose. It is pointless. Okay, so whenever Allah command us to do something, it will actually be within our capability to perform it. Okay, number two, the performance of the act should be dependent on the will of the mukallaf, include such act that involve the mukallaf's inner emotion over which he have control. Yes, okay. So again, when you talk about this obligation, the performance of the obligation actually depend on the will of human being or the mukallaf. Okay. Some degrees of hardship involved in performing some obligatory act, okay, are regarded to be usual type and not of the impossible one. Okay, so of course, when Allah actually command us to do, you know, certain things, okay, the ibadah, you know, like the salah, zakah, you know, fasting, sawm, you know, al-hajj wal-umrah. Of course, there is, you know, some degrees of hardship or difficulties in that, in a particular ibadah, but it is actually, you know, bearable. We can actually bear with that difficulties, okay, and it is not the impossible one. Allah said in Quran, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Okay, God doesn't obligate living soul beyond the limit of his capacity. Yes. Okay, so whenever Allah actually commands us to do something, it is must be, I mean, usually will be within our capacity. Okay, next. Okay, moving on to the rights. Okay, here we have type of rights. Okay, we have 3 type of right. Okay, firstly we have right of Allah. Number 2, mix. Okay, right of Allah in individual, and number 3, right of individual alone. Okay, let's see the first right of Allah. The right of Allah refers to the act which must be performed, and there is no choice for the mukallaf to ignore it. Okay, it also connotes what is done solely for the public benefit. Yes, this is the first one, right of Allah. Okay, so when we talk about right of Allah, it is usually for public benefit. Not, I mean, not for Allah actually. It is for our benefit. Rules that relate to the right of Allah alone. Okay, for example, here, pure worship, like the pillars of Islam. Okay, we have like 5 pillars. Okay, you know, the shahada, the salah, zakat, I mean, fasting, and hajj wal umrah. Okay, and number 2, pure punishment, only like hudud. Okay, of course we have, you know, several types of, you know, hudud punishment. Okay, hudud basically mean had limitation of boundaries. So we have like 5 or even 6. Okay, according to some scholars, like, you know, shurb al-khamr, drinking liquor, you know, qadhaf. Okay, you know, when we accuse someone for committing adultery without produce 4 witnesses. Okay, you know, we have buqa, you know, qata tariq, and so on. These are, you know, among the rights of Allah. And number 3, imperfect punishment. Okay, uqubah qasira. Okay, such as excluding a murderer from the inheritance of his victim. Okay, so this is also punishment, but it is the imperfect one. Okay, it is not perfect. Okay, because, I mean, example here, we have the hadith where the Prophet said, "Man istajala qabla awanihi uqiba bihirmanihi." So if, let's say, you know, if someone tried to expedite something before his time, then he will be actually banned from that particular thing that he wished to pursue. Okay, so this is imperfect punishment, uqubah qasira. And number 4, we have worship in which there is an element of financial liability. Okay, like hajj and zakat al-fitr. Okay, hajj, of course, when we talk about hajj or umrah, I mean, we have to pay the money, okay, to perform this ibadah. The same goes to the zakat al-fitr. Okay, of course, we have to pay some money. Okay, this is right of Allah alone. Number 2, we have mixed right of Allah and individual. So here we have 2 groups here, 2 types here. First, right, rules in which the right of Allah and right of individual lie side by side, but the right of Allah is predominant. Okay, so here is where right of Allah is predominant, like had al-qadhaf and had theft, had al-sariqah. Okay, so of course, when we talk about this, you know, punishment of qadhaf and, you know, theft. Okay, of course, there is, you know, right of human being. Okay, like in qadhaf, when someone accuse others, a good person, to commit zina, for example. Of course, the reputation of that person actually is, you know, being tainted with such bad accusation. Of course, his right actually has been, you know, violated. But here, right of Allah is actually predominant here. The same goes to theft. Okay, of course, when person actually his item or property being stolen, okay, part of his right actually has been violated. But again, here, right of Allah is actually predominant. Okay, prevail here. Number 2, we have rules in which the right of Allah and right of individual lie side by side, but right of individual is predominant. Okay, here the right of individual actually, you know, predominant here. I mean, prevail here. Example here, qisas, okay, or retaliation for bodily injuries or bodily harm. Yes, qisas actually, when, you know, someone kill others, okay, or I mean, or someone actually hurt others, then if let's say A kill B, so the B who actually has been killed by A, his family members can actually claim, you know, either to do the qisas, to kill back, or if let's say they don't want to claim for qisas, they can actually claim for, diya, blood money, okay, which will actually amount to 200 camels. And and next there will be another option for the family members of the victim, which would be the forgiveness or pardon. So here, whether it is qisas, the kill back, or they want the diyah, blood money, or they want to give full pardon or forgiveness, it is actually entirely depend on the victim. I don't know, family members of the victim, the family members. Okay, so here it is also right of Allah, but right of human or individual here is predominant. And number 3, right of individual, exclusive right of individual here, for example, like paternity right. Okay, this is our exclusive right of human being. Then right to compilation for loss. Okay, if let's say someone actually loss, is a part of his property or something, he has the right to compensation. And purchaser's right to own the object that he has purchased, and vendor's right to own the price paid to him. Okay, these are among the exclusive right of individual. Okay, so next, okay, mahkum alayh. This is subtopic number 3. Taklif, okay, basically means one's qualification to acquire right and obligation and exercise them lawfully. Okay, so mukallaf, the person who's invoked a hukum or hukum requires him to act in a prescribed manner. Okay, the person who possesses legal capacity, whether he act directly or through delegated authority. Sometimes we can actually do it by ourselves, but sometimes we can actually ask the person to actually do on our behalf. Okay, when we delegate our power to someone else to do it for us. The person must firstly be able to understand the command of Allah, or the communication that create the obligation. Okay, of course, there must be communication first, and comprehend the ground of his responsibility in order to become mukallaf. Yes. Okay, so before someone can become mukallaf, he must actually understand the command of Allah, and he also actually understand the responsibility. Okay, his responsibility. Let's move to the next slide. Okay, so here we went to the legal capacity ahliyah. Okay, legal capacity or ahliyah. Literally, it means absolute fitness or ability. Okay, and technically it means ability of fitness to acquire rights. Okay, to obtain right and to exercise this right. Okay, and ability to accept or obtain duties, and ability to perform these duties. Okay, so this is the ahliyah. Okay, based on the definition, there are 2 types of ahliyah or capacity. Firstly, ahliyatul wujub, and number 2, ahliyatul ada. Okay, so for ahliyatul wujub, is basically receptive legal capacity, or the capacity for acquisition of right. Basically, is the capacity to acquire rights. Okay, so the capacity for acquisition is the ability of the individual to receive right and obligation. This kind of capacity is acquired by the existence of life itself. Okay, so for this first, capacity, we actually acquire this capacity by existing, simply existing in this world. We have this capacity, ahliyatul wujub. Okay, and number 2, ahliyatul ada, the capacity for execution of performance of duties and obligation. Okay, so the capacity for execution is the capacity that enables mukallaf to fulfill rights and discharge obligation, to effect valid acts and transaction, and to bear full responsibility toward God and his fellow human beings. Yes. So this is, the capacity number 2, which is, it is basically the capacity which allow the mukallaf to fulfill right and discharge obligation. Okay, so we have 2 capacities here. Next, the basis of responsibility is only acquired upon attaining a certain level of intellectual maturity and competence. Okay, so when a person actually has, attains the level of intellectual maturity, and competence, then he will actually acquire this taklif, this responsibility. Only a person who understands his act and his word is competent to conclude a contract, discharge obligation, or be punished for violating the law. Yes. So if let's say a person cannot understand, his act, he can understand his act, what is the consequence from his act, what is the consequence from his word, then he is not a mukallaf, and he cannot be punished for violating the law. Okay, it's because to be punished by the law, someone actually must understand, can comprehend his act and the consequence from his act. Okay, as the taklif is based on the intelligence, capacity of understanding and discernment or judgment, which are hidden qualities. Okay, the law has linked personal responsibility with the attainment of age of maturity, bulugh, which is an obvious phenomenon. Okay, yes, I mean, when we talk about taklif, of course, it must be based on the hidden qualities, which is the intelligence, capacity of understanding. So when we talk about this, capability to understand, okay, it is actually, we cannot see it right away. If let's say I see a person, I cannot simply say, okay, I know he is, has this understanding and discernment, quality, okay, because it is hidden qualities. So we need to actually observe this person whether or not he has this, capacity of understanding or not. Okay. And because of this, hidden qualities, usually this actually law actually has relate or link this with the attainment of age of maturity. So usually, okay, when someone actually has attained the age of bulugh, usually he will have this capacity of understanding. This is in usual case, but of course, there are certain cases where person who actually has attained the age of maturity, but he's still not, not mature enough. Okay, because sometimes people can actually suffer from insanity. People actually has what we call as the disability. It can become dumb person. Okay, it actually cannot understand like others people would understand. Okay, so this is the exceptional cases. Okay. However, it is the intellectual faculty of the individual rather than age which determines his legal capacity. Thus, an adult who is insane or asleep is not held responsible for his conduct. Okay, so yes, again, if let's say, like I mentioned to you just now, some people actually can be older, but he is not mature enough. He doesn't possess this, intellectual, these intellectual faculty that actually can understand, okay, his act and the consequences from his act. Okay, so this actually principle based on the hadith of Prophet ﷺ, in which he said, رفع القلم عن ثلاث. Okay, النائم حتى يستيقظ والصبي حتى يبلغ والمجنون حتى يفيق. Okay, pen is lifted from three persons: the one who is asleep until he wakes, the child until he attains puberty or bulugh, and the insane person until he retains sanity, until he becomes sane again. Okay. And for this, legal capacity, Muslim scholars really has divided into three types. Okay, let's see. This three types of legal capacity. Let's see. Okay, good. Firstly, we have, الأداء قاصرة, and then wait. Yes, this one is first one is deficient capacity. Okay, number two we have الأداء ناقصة. Okay, it is imperfect one. And number three, الأداء كاملة. Okay, let's see the first one. Deficient is a sign when the basis of legal capacity is not fully developed. Okay, such as child during infancy or an insane person at any age. Okay, so for these two group of people, infant and insane person, they actually fall under this category, since neither is endowed with legal intellect, no legal consequences accrue from their words and act. Okay, so yes, okay, and they are not subject to punishment. And if let's say they commit crime, they cannot be subject to any punishment because they cannot understand the consequence of their act or their word. Okay, but they will still be liable for their property if let's say they actually they damage or destroy others' property, it's left, then their guardian should actually pay for the damages. Okay, good. And number two, the imperfect capacity is assigned in cases where the basis of capacity being human and possession of discretion are present. Okay, but all external attribute doesn't permit the validity of certain act. Okay, so what is the example of this group of people? Example here is discerning child, a sabi al-mumayyiz. Okay, that is from 7 years of age to the age of bulugh, puberty. Or an idiot marked whose intellect is defective and weak. Okay, they possess legal capacity which is incomplete and partial. Okay, so they possess legal capacity, but it is not complete. Okay, so this group of people, they capable of concluding acts and transaction for their benefit only. Okay, for their benefit only. So it is valid, such as they can actually accept gift. They can accept charity. Okay, but when it comes to give benefit to others, which is against their favor, they cannot do it. That actually is not valid. Okay, example there, such as giving gift to others, or making will, or even pronouncing divorce. Okay, it is invalid if it is coming out from them. And number three, transaction consists benefit and loss. Okay, so here is a transaction which actually consists both benefit and loss. It is valid, but with the guardian's permission. Okay, and number three, al-ada kamilah. This is the complete capacity for execution. Complete capacity for execution is established when mukallaf attains full mental development and acquires the ability to discriminate. Okay, to determine what is right, what is wrong, to differentiate between good and bad. Okay, this stage is associated with the external standard of puberty, bulugh, and the possession of rushd, maturity of action. Okay, every major person who has acquired this ability is presumed to possess capacity for execution, unless there is evidence opposing it. Okay, so these are the three types of legal capacity. Let's move to the next slide. Okay. Okay, we still have like 10 minutes. Okay, impediment of legal capacity. Okay, impediment of capacity. Those factors that prevent capacity for acquisition and capacity for execution from taking full effect. Okay, the jurists divide the cause of impeding capacity into two kinds. Okay, basically we have two type of impediment of capacity. Okay, let's see. The first one, natural causes, and number two, acquired causes. For natural causes, okay, among the natural causes are as follow. Firstly, minority. Okay, so we have minority, we have insanity, we have unconsciousness and forgetfulness. So the first one, minority, actually shorter there, acquisition and execution. For acquisition, minority, it will not give any effect because they can still obtain their right, and so no effect. But execution, so this is where their capacity will be impeded. Okay, so execution, they will not be liable for lack of aql. So this is minority. Number two, insanity. Okay, acquisition, again, no effect. It will not affect the acquisition capacity, but it will actually affect the execution again. For insane person, because they do not understand the consequence of their act, So they are not liable for any act they actually committed or they did. Again, for the lack of aql, for the lack of understanding. Number 3, unconsciousness or sleeping. Someone actually fainted. Okay, who knows? So again, for accumulation, it doesn't affect their legal capacity, but for execution, it will affect temporarily. Okay, so it will affect this group of person when they are unconscious or they are sleeping. Okay, so temporarily not liable for ibadat and not liable for punishment or transaction. If let's say someone actually sleeping, and when he actually moved in his sleeping and he falls on children, for example, and that child actually kill because he is a very big person, then he will not be liable because he is sleeping. Okay, and finally forgetfulness. Okay, no effect on the acquisition and execution, but the taklif will become operative when he or she remember. Okay, this is natural causes. And number 2, we have acquired causes. Among the acquired causes are as follows: ignorance and mistake. It is basically it's our fault. Okay, we are the one who actually committed this. These causes, ignorance and mistake, no effect on acquisition and execution. Okay, so if let's say we do something, we have to bear the consequences. Okay, ignorance on the hukum or the law within Islamic territory is not an excuse. If let's say we do something that violate, hukum al-shar'i in Islamic territory, then we will be punished. There is no excuse. If let's say we doesn't know about it, there is no excuse. Number 2, intoxication. Yes, intoxication basically when someone actually get intoxicated, it is because of his own behavior, his own action of drinking the liquor. So it doesn't affect the acquisition or execution. Okay, he will still be punished accordingly. And number 3, caution. Okay, no effect on acquisition and execution. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Okay, this is the last slide for me. Wait. Good. So stages of human life, okay, vis-a-vis legal capacity. So this is just a chart to make you understand from our previous discussion. Okay, so here we have fetus, from fetus to birth, acquisition, incomplete. Okay, we have but incomplete. Execution, nil. We can actually execute anything. Okay, from fetus to birth. Number 2, small child. Okay, to mumayyiz. Okay, so acquisition is complete. We actually can acquire many things, okay, during this stage, but we still cannot execute the obligation. Okay, and number 3, the third stage, from mumayyiz to maturity. Here we have already actually have the complete acquisition of right, but when it comes to execution or discharging obligation, we can discharge something, but it is still incomplete, not complete yet. And finally, from maturity to death, from bulugh to death, here we have complete acquisition of right, and we have complete execution of obligation. Okay, so this is the stages of human life about the legal capacity. Okay, hukum. Hukum, we have hukum here. 5 more minutes. Okay, this last one. Okay, hukum derived from the root word of hakama, which literally means command and technically means rule. Okay, and this is the definition. خطب الله المتعلق بأفعال المكلفين بالاقتضاء والتأخير أو الوضع. Communication from Allah related to the act of the subject through demand, option, or through declaration. So it is concerned with the act of human being. Okay, let's see. So I will skip this part. Okay, you can read on your own. Okay, so basically we have these 2 types of hukum, taklifi and hukum wada'i. Okay, there are 2 types of demand. Okay, binding demand, like obligation and prohibition. Okay, so commission, like performing obligatory salah and fasting. This is binding demand. It is demand, it is binding. If let's say we do not perform it, we will actually be rewarded with sin. Okay, we will be sinful. omission. Okay, again, this is demand to omit something, to not do something, and actually is binding on us, like committing zina, okay, eating other property unjustly. If let's say we commit zina, then again will be sinful as well. And number two, we have non-binding demand. Okay, it is still demand, but it's non-binding one. Example here, recommendation and disapproval. Okay, nadab, mandub, or makruh. Okay, for example, commission, performing nawafil salah. Okay, the salah before and after, obligatory salah, there is, ma'udi nawafil salah. It is, recommended for us to performing this nawafil salah. And omission, it is actually good for us, to omit this, eating garlic or eating while resting on something. It is makruh. And finally, we have option or choice, where the commission or omission actually it is on our choice. Okay? It is up to us. Okay, for example, like act of seeking sustenance after Jumu'ah prayer. Okay, we have this, famous verse. فإذا قضيت الصلاة في يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع. So this is basically choice. We can do it or we can leave it. Up to us. And we have hukum wada'i, declaratory hukum. We have sabab, sharat, and mani'. Sabab basically act which hukum taklifi is invoked, who is present, obligate hukum taklifi, and is absent, necessitate no obligation. For example, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. The moon sighting, okay, before Ramadan. So if let's say someone actually witnesses the moon, then he has to fast. If let's say he still do not see the moon, then he don't have to fast yet. Okay. Number two, sharat, prerequisite whose absence necessitates the absence of hukum taklifi, but it present doesn't obligate such hukum, such as wudu. Okay, so for wudu, for example, wudu, if let's say you want to perform salah, you have to make ablution, yes. But if let's say when you have the wudu, it is not necessarily you have to perform salah. You can actually, recite Quran, or you can do other things. Okay, so this is sharat. In mana, condition of fact that prevent hukum from being applied, even if the cause found and condition is met. Okay, for example, like paying zakah. Okay, so if let's say when we want to pay the zakah, there's some condition like the nisab, okay, must be completed. The hawl must be complete as well. One whole year. So if let's say you have met this condition, you actually have to pay zakat. But if let's say you have this debt to others, so in this situation you have to pay debt first. Okay, only then you have to pay zakat. So this is when debt actually become obstacle to your obligation of zakat. Okay, next. And then we have a type of hukum azimah, the initial ruling, like we have to pray for rak'an, for Zuhr and Asr. But if let's say we are traveling, then we will have the rukhsah, exemption, where we can actually shorten 4 rak'an to 2 rak'an. Okay, so this is the rukhsah and azim. Another example is consuming pork. Of course, it is prohibited in ordinary situation, but under necessity and duress, then one is permitted to consume this pork. Okay. Okay, I think that's it from me. Okay. So if let's say you have any question, okay, please ask me in the chat box. Okay, and I think I will return the mic to our sister. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr.
Okay, you're welcome.
شكرا على هذه المحاضرة المنفعة والرائعة. نحن نرجو أن يتمنى جميع المشاركين من دول مختلفة في هذا الفصل عبر إنترنت الحصول على كل معرفة التي قدمها قبل القليل.
Inshallah.
I am absolutely glad to you, Doctor, that you have us the great lecture. We hope all our participants can grab all the knowledge that you have given us just now. May Allah bless you with good health and happiness. We hope
Allahumma
Doctor in the next class, inshallah.
Inshallah.
أدعو لكم أن تكونوا في الصحة والعافية والسلامة في الدنيا والآخرة.
Allahumma ameen.
Okay, we have to continue with our great professor again in this class with the last class today with Prof. Amanullah. Prof, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, Prof. Thank you for your session. So we
You're
will
welcome.
continue, we will continue our class with Prof. Amanullah on his lecture today, Al-Qawa'id al-Fiqhiyyah, as we know it as Islamic Legal Maxim. We invited you, Doctor, to Prof, to come
Number
in.
4 है.
Tafaddal madhkura.
Yeah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen. Amma ba'd. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir wa tammim alayna bil khair. Rabbi zidni ilma, Rabbi zidni ilma, Rabbi zidni ilma. Dear moderator and the participants, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
So today, inshallah, we are going to talk about the third major maxim, that is ad-dararu yuzal. Harm must be removed. So the first, we are going to talk about the literal meaning of this maxim. There are two words in this maxim. The first one is ad-darar and the second one is yuzal. So the word ad-darar means harm, loss, damage, disadvantage, and so forth. In other words, literally all that is opposite of benefit is considered darar. And the second word, yuzal, from zawal, zala yazulu, and from there yuzal. In Arabic we call it majhul, majhul form. So yuzal means be removed, be eliminated, to get rid of, to put an end, to relieve, to wipe out, and so forth. So the full literal meaning of this maxim, ad-dararu yuzal, is harm must be removed or harm must be eliminated. Now let us see the definition of darar, definition of harm, or definition as a term in Islamic jurisprudence. I have quoted here two definitions. The first one, ilhaqu mafsadatin bil ghayri mutlaqan. It means to inflict absolute harm to others. So the word mutlaq from itlaq is used over here. It means that there should not be any imposition of any situation, or we should not confine this harm to any particular situation. It should be unqualified. And another definition is ad-dararu ma qasada al-insanu bihi manfa'ata nafsihi wa kana fihi dararun ala ghayrihi. Darar is something through which a human being intends to get benefit for himself, but in doing so, there will be harm to others. So over here, there is some qualification, confinement of this darar to a particular situation, and that is ma qasada al-insanu bihi manfa'a. So through this harm, a human being intends to get some benefit for himself, although there will be some harm to others. So this harm is confined to a particular situation. If we compare between these two definitions of darar, then we may say that the first definition is preferable to the second one, because the first one is unqualified. That's why it covers all different type of, darar, harm. Whether it can be beneficial for the one who inflicts this harm, or it may not be beneficial for him. But the second one, yes, second one, we have this, the condition or this confinement is mentioned. So that's why we may say that the first one, over there, there is no, imposition of any particular situation. That's why the first one is preferable to the second one. It can cover all different types of harms, all different types of darar. Then let us see what are the types of darar. What are the types of, harm? Darar can be divided into two types. Darar or harm which is inflicted justly. For instance, implementation of qisas, just retribution against a killer, or forcing the oppressor, zalim, to pay the rights of the oppressed back to him, or slaughtering an animal to eat the meat. All these are considered to be a kind of darar, kind of harm. But all these harms are permitted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, permitted by the Quran, permitted by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Apparently, there is harm, but on the other hand, we can get benefit out of it. So all these examples and similar other examples fall under this type. That is, darar which is inflicted justly. So this type of harm is lawful because it brings some benefit to the public. And this type of harm is not covered by this maxim. Then the second type, darar or harm which is inflicted unjustly. For example, killing someone intentionally and oppressively, or stealing wealth of others, or oppressing someone, or insulting someone, or backbiting. All these are harms and that can be inflicted unjustly. We are not allowed to kill anyone. If we kill, then it will be an injustice to him. We are not allowed to steal the wealth of others. If we do that, then it will be an injustice and zulm to someone. Also, we are not allowed to insult anyone. If we do that, then it will be an injustice to him. Also, we are not allowed to do backbiting. So all these harm fall under this category, which is darar which is inflicted unjustly. So this type of harm is forbidden in Islam. And this type of harm is covered by this maxim. So now, any general meaning of this maxim. All harms that fall under the second type that mentioned just now and which are inflicted unjustly are forbidden, and therefore they must be eliminated. Since they are forbidden by Islam, forbidden by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they should be eliminated. But how? How we are supposed to eliminate it? There are two points. First one, prevention of harm before its occurrence through possible means. Like we can advise someone, we can monitor someone. If we feel that someone is trying to go to do some harm to someone, so if we know that, then we have to advise him, or we have to monitor him so that he will be not able to harm anyone. So there are, lawful means to prevent someone from committing a harm to someone. And the second point is, it also covers removal of harm after its occurrence through steps and means prescribed by the Sharia. If harm is already done, then of course it should be removed. We cannot leave it as it is. And also we are not allowed to remove the harm with any illegal ways or means. It is prescribed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran and Sunnah, by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how we are supposed to eliminate the harm. So we have to follow all those steps. Now, let us see what are the importance of this legal maxim. Number one, an important objective of sending all the messengers and heavenly books is to establish justice in this world. The application of this maxim can lead to realize this objective. So all the messengers came to this world. All the books are sent to us to establish justice. Of course, there are some other objectives also. Establishing justice is an important thing for us. So through this maxim, we can establish justice among the people. Number two, this maxim has a strong relationship with 5 higher objectives of Islamic Sharia. They are protection of religion, protection of life, protection of progeny, protection of wealth, protection of honor, and protection of intellect. And some scholars say that they are 5, and some others said that they are 6. However, I have written 6 of them over here. So all these objectives of Sharia, sometimes someone may do something to harm these objectives. Then if we implement this maxim, we can remove this harm from occurring to these objectives of Sharia. Let's say protection of deen. If a Muslim openly declares that he does not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or he does not believe in the Quran, or he does not believe in the Day of Judgment, then he is challenging the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he is challenging to other Muslims also. So he can damage our religion. If it is proved, then first we have to give him chance to do tawbah, to do repentance. If he does not within a certain period of time, then of course there is a punishment for him. So he inflicted harms to the religion. He challenged it. So now he should get the punishment. So if we implement this maxim through the particular punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we can protect our religion from the harm of this particular person. And also, let's say protection of our intellect. Our intellectual capacity is so important for us. One of the important objective of Sharia is to protect our intellectual capacity. But sometimes we do something that can harm this capacity, that can go against this intellectual capacity. Like, let's say if someone drinks alcohol, then there is a possibility that he will be intoxicated. And that is a harm to his intellectual capacity. We have to remove this. So by implementing this maxim, we can remove the harm from him and also from the society. So this way, we may say that all these 5 or 6 higher objectives of Sharia can be protected through the implementation of this legal maxim. Then the third one, this maxim covers all different fields of jurisprudence. I'm not going to mention, any particular field. Most of the fields are included in it. Number 4, some scholars maintain that this maxim is considered to be 1/2 of Islamic Sharia. Why? Because this Sharia is divided into 2 sections. First section is that this Sharia came to protect maslaha, public interest. And the second section is that this Sharia came to remove mafsada or harm or evil from us. And this second one is covered by this maxim. Therefore, this maxim can be considered as half of the Sharia. What are the proofs or adilla or dalil of this maxim? There are proofs from the Quran, from the Hadith, and also from ijma, consensus of ulama. The first one, proofs of the Holy Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تُمْسِكُهُنَّ ضِرَارًا لِتَعْتَدُوا, and do not take them back to hurt them. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse number 231. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade a husband to take his wife back after divorce, intending to harm her. Someone already divorced his wife. Now he is interested to take her back, but the intention is that he will do harm to her. So that is an injustice and zulm, which should not be done. In another verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تُضَارُ وَالِدَةٌ بِوَلَدِهَا, and no mother shall be treated unfairly on account of her child. Again, Surah Al-Baqarah, verse number 233. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbid harming any mother because of her child. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says, وَلَا يُضَارُ كَاتِبٌ وَلَا يُضَارَ كَاتِبٌ وَلَا شَهِيدٌ, let neither scribe nor witness suffer any harm. Again, Surah Al-Baqarah, verse number 282. So according to this verse, we are not allowed to harm any scribe. We are not allowed to harm any witness. And the last one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُعْتَدِينَ, and do not transgress the limits. Truly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not like the transgressors. Again, Surah Al-Baqarah, verse number 190. So all these verses, in them Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade the infliction of harm and transgression. So these verses can be clearly the proofs of this legal maxim. The second type of proofs is hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "La darara wa la dirar." Harm neither should be inflicted nor should be reciprocated. So this hadith, some scholars maintain that this hadith itself is a maxim. Actually, the maxim we are discussing now, some scholars named it as la darara wa la dirar. Harm neither should be inflicted nor should be reciprocated. And some other scholars maintain that the name of this maxim should be ad-dararu yuzal. So I have chosen the second one. So since I have chosen the second one, then this hadith can be considered as a proof for this maxim, which is ad-dararu yuzal. Harm must be prevented. So let us see this hadith. The first word, la darara, in this hadith means that we are not allowed to inflict harm unjustly. And the second part, wala dirar. Wala dirar means that we are not allowed to respond to a harm with another harm. If someone inflicts harm to me or to you, to anyone else, then we are not supposed to respond to him with another harm. That is not allowed. So this hadith is a proof of this maxim. The second hadith, also the Prophet ﷺ said, al-Muslimu al-Muslimu haramun damuhu wa maluhu wa irduhu. For every Muslim, the blood, wealth, and prestige. For every Muslim, the blood, wealth, and prestige of other Muslims are forbidden. So this hadith is narrated by Imam Muslim. What does it mean? It means that we are not allowed to kill any Muslims unjustly. Also, it means that we are not allowed to steal the property of anyone. It also means that we are not allowed to take the wealth of other people by force. It also means that we are not allowed to do or say something that can damage the prestige of someone. All these are examples of harms, and they are forbidden by the Prophet ﷺ. So this hadith clearly can be a proof of this maxim. And the final or the last proof is ijma or consensus. All Muslim jurists unanimously maintain that inflicting harm to others is forbidden. There are some conditions to remove the harm. Number one, the harm must occur. Imaginary harm is not counted, or the harm that we are expecting to happen in future is not counted. Harm must be present right now. Second one, amount of harm must be reasonable. Very little harm is not counted. Very little harm is forgivable automatically. Number three, harm should be inflicted unjustly, as we discussed earlier. If it is inflicted justly, then of course, this maxim is not applicable for that one. Number four, harm should violate the Sharia compliant public interest, maslaha shar'iyya. It means that if any maslaha or if any interest of anyone is not Sharia compliant, then he will be not covered by this maxim. Let's say a Muslim destroyed alcohol of another Muslim. Now the Muslim who destroyed this alcohol will not be punished, and he has not to pay any compensation for it. Why? Because the other Muslim owned this alcohol illegally. He is not allowed in Islam to own alcohol. So any interest or maslaha must be Sharia compliant. Okay, now let us see some the examples of this legal maxim. Number one, if anyone sells anything that rots quickly, such as fruits, and the buyer disappears before the payment of the price and before receiving the sold items. So now, what should be done? The seller thinks that his fruits will be spoiled and he will be a loser. So in this situation, he is allowed to revoke the sale and he can sell this fruit to someone else. Why we have to do this? We have to do this to prevent harm from this seller. If we do not do that, then of course he will lose in his business. Nowadays, the example of driving beyond the speed limit on the highway can happen by many of us, and it may lead to an accident, and that is harm, or may lead to destroy some property. So that's why it is prohibited. And in order to avoid this type of harming, a person, a driver, must follow the traffic rules, must follow the regulations given by the government. If someone still drive the car beyond the limit of speed and then he kills someone or he destroys the car of other people, then of course he will be responsible for that, and that is harm, and that harm must be removed, and there are ways to remove it. Number 3, let's say someone took a land as lease, and now the period of this contract or period of this lease has ended before the harvesting of crop. Maybe 15 days or 1 month is left. Now, this person should be allowed to keep this agricultural land in his hand until he can finish the harvesting. If we do not do that, then of course he will be not able to get his crop and he will be a loser. So in order to prevent this harm from him, the contract period should be prolonged until he can be able to the harvest. Number 4, if someone is well known to be a criminal, it is allowed to jail him until he repents, until he does tawbah for his sin, even if any crime is not proved against him, since he is well known and there is a possibility that he can harm the public. So the government can put him in jail. Why? If we do not put him in jail, there is a possibility that he can harm other people. So in order to eliminate his harm to the public, this is the right of the government to put him in the jail. Number 5, if a wife is oppressed by her husband and she does not pay the, maybe she oppresses her, or he does not give her nafaqah, then she does not feel comfortable, she does not want to maintain the marital life with him, then she is allowed to file a case against him in a court, and a judge can order the separation between them. Why? Because if the separation is not done among them, then the harm may continue. So in order to eliminate further harm to the wife, this is the right of the judge to, separate them. Number 6, the same, it can go with the number 5, so no need to talk about it. Then number 7, qisas, or just retribution. Just retribution is prescribed to remove the harm from the guardian of the victim, which is known in the Islamic jurisprudence. And also all hudud punishments are prescribed to remove the harm from the victims, which are known to all of us. Now let us see some of sub-maxims or branches of this major maxim. Number 1, la darara wa la dirar. So this one we have already discussed. This is a hadith, and also it is considered to be a branch or sub-maxim of this major maxim. So the first part, as we said, that it indicates that any injustice or any harm should not be inflicted to anyone. The second part, la dirara, it means harm shall not be reciprocated. So reciprocation means to respond to harm of someone with another harm. Let's say, a person which is A, who damaged the property of another person which is B intentionally. So he cannot do any harm to other person. He is not allowed to do anything. He has to go through the lawful process. He has to go to the court. He has to file a case against him. And then the judge will decide what should be the compensation for this damage. So let's say this person, the first one, broke a chair of the second one. And the second person came to his house and he broke another chair of that second person. That is not allowed. That is a kind of revenge. We are not supposed to do that. Rather, the second person should go to the court and file a case against the first person to get his right back or to get the compensation from him. Then another sub-maxim, ad-dararu la yuzalu bimislihi. Harm must not be removed by means of a similar harm. There is some difference between the first, sub-maxim and this sub-maxim. Let us see the example. If a Muslim is forced to kill another Muslim, he is not allowed to kill him because ad-dararu la yuzalu bimislihi. Harm must not be removed by the means of a similar harm. You are forced to kill someone, now you are not supposed to kill him. Rather, if you are killed because of not following the order of this person, then of course you will be killed and you will be shaheed, you will be martyred in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then another example, if a person is in the condition of necessity and he needs some food because he is hungry. Now he is not allowed to take the food of another person who needs it for himself. You are in necessity, you are hungry, you need some food, and in front of you there is a beggar. In his hand there is some food, but that beggar himself needs it for himself. So you are not allowed to take this food from him. Ad-dararu la yuzalu bimislihi. Harm must not be removed by the means of a similar harm. Then the third one, ad-darar al-ashad yuzalu bid-darar al-aqaf. Greater harm must be prevented at the expense of the lesser harm. In case there are two harms, the lesser harm can be committed in order to prevent the greater harm from occurring. Let's say a woman is pregnant and she is in her last month of pregnancy and she has started to suffer from breathing problem because of her pregnancy. So now she is allowed to do operation or cesarean, delivery to give birth to her baby. Why? In order to save her life, because she has been suffering from breathing problem. If we let her to continue with this, she may die. So her death is considered to be greater harm, and doing an operation on her body is considered to be a lesser harm. So we can prevent this greater harm on the expense of this lesser harm. Okay. Let us go to other branches. These examples, I will leave it for you. Okay, the number 4 sub-maxim is يتحمل الضرر الخاص لدفع الضرر العام. A private harm is tolerated in order to prevent a public harm. A harm can be inflicted to a particular person. And also there are other type of harm that can be done to the public. So now we can tolerate a personal or individual or a private harm in order to prevent a public harm. For example, there is a wall belongs to a person, and this wall is already tilted towards a public road. And there is a possibility that it may fall down anytime and it may kill someone. So now it is mandatory to destroy this wall. So destruction of this wall will be a harm to this particular person, to the owner of this wall. That is a private harm. So if we do this, then we can prevent a public harm. It means nobody will be killed because of the falling down of this wall. Another example of this sub-maxim is the COVID-19. During the COVID-19, it is mandatory to be in quarantine for the person who is infected by this virus. So now this person will not be allowed to go out. So this is a personal or private harm. Not able to go out is harm for him, but it must be done. He must be in quarantine to avoid the transmission of this virus to other people. And that is a public harm. So public harm we have to prevent it on the expense of the private harm. Okay, now the last one. Dar'u al-mafasid awla min jalbi al-manafi. Prevention of an evil is preferable to securing a benefit. So sometimes and there could be contradiction between a maslaha and between a mafsada, or between a public interest and between a benefit. So now, what should we do? We have to prevent the mafsada. We have to prevent the evil or harmful thing. It should be preferable to secure the benefit. For example, it is not allowed for a person to build a window of his house exactly in front of the window of his neighbor's house. Why? Because it may lead to look at the aura of the neighbors. So this is an evil. This is an evil. So this evil must be removed. And building a window is a benefit for that person. So now the prevention of this harm should be preferable to this benefit that goes back to this particular person. The last one, a person should not open a workshop to repair cars or doing welding near a residential area. Why? To prevent his neighbors from being disturbed. Opening a shop, of course, is a benefit for this person. But if it is near the residential area, then the neighborhood will be disturbed. So that's why over here, this mafsada or this evil or harm should be preferable to the benefit that goes back to this person. So, وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. So, inshallah, we shall continue in our next lecture with the fourth maxim. So, let us see some of the questions and inquiries. Is it possible to look at it?
Yes, Prof. Prof, you need to answer now or later on?
No, not now. Not now. It is not possible to make it now.
Yeah. So you have end your class, Prof?
Yes, I have ended my class.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Ala syukran jazilan ala al-muhadarah ar-ra'ya wal manfa'ah. Nahnu narju natamanna anna jami'ul musyarikin min dawal mukhtalifa al-husul ala kulli ma'rifatin allati qaddamaha qabla al-qalil. Syukran, Doctor. Thank you. I'm absolute pleasure to you, Doctor, that you have Prof, that you have shared with us the great knowledge and wonderful. We hope all participants can enjoy and grab all the knowledge that he has given to us just now. May Allah bless you, Dr. Prof, with a good health and happiness. We hope we can meet Allah. Ud'u ila an takuna fi sihah wal afiyah wassalamah fid dunya wal akhirah. Wa taqabbalallahu kull hajatikum, Prof. Syukran.
Amin.
Sanaltaqi ma'akum marratan ukhra fil muhadarah al-qadimah. Ma'assalamah. We will end our session first. Inshallah, you can talk later on. We will end our session with tasbih kifarah wal suratul al-Asr. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.
So, could you please open the open the questions?
Yes, we can open it. We
Ismail?
just giving 50 minutes for them to write on all the question.
Ismail?
Oh, you mean you want to hear the words or what, Prof?
No, I want to see on the screen. Question is it?
So now we have end our session. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shukran, Prof.
Assalamu warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hmm.
So give us 3 minutes to see the questions.
Thank you
Yes.
very much, Dr. Amanullah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, very interesting lecture. We hope everybody enjoyed it. Alhamdulillah.
Thank
So
you
you're
very much.
looking for the question.
Yeah, I am looking. Can you give us a few minutes to look at it?
Sure, Prof. Sure.
Okay.
Thank you to our moderator, Sister Jawaria.
Thank you. Welcome.
আরো আসছে না যে বন্ধ হয়ে গেল যে নাকি পিছনে আছে উপরে
Okay. Also, before we go out, so we want to remind that the slide we will, inshallah, don't worry about the previous slide. We have to give one by one. Until the end of the class, inshallah, we combine all together, then we give you in one file, inshallah.
Dr. Amanullah, do you finish?
Yeah, few minutes, 2-3 minutes.
Okay, thank you.